They call law Yabashim Yabashab Bashim Makakadash. Double honest apostles, great millstone, peace and salutations to you, sincere brothers out there pushing the truth across the four corners of the earth. Just real quick, I wanted to run through some scriptures. The apostle did a video, and he was talking about, highlighting on America, which, of course, we know is circling the drain. Of course, in Revelation 13, it talks about a beast that comes up that exercises all the power of the first beast before him and causeth the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great, which is talking about America. Okay, America is a reincarnation of the Roman Empire, which is the other beast, and then America is doing all the same things. Okay, and if you can't see that, I mean, these people, one of the famous things they say is, what do as the Romans do. You got Jay-Z make an album, Magna Carta, Holy Grail. These Edomites, they ate that up too. And it's just, everything about this place is Rome incarnated. From the leaders that we have, right, which would have been Caesars, emperors, kings in the time of Rome, that would have been their title, to the persecution of the Israelites all around. And then eventually we know the Israelites, during 70 AD, the siege of Jerusalem, they were kicked out of Jerusalem and they fled into the interiors of many other nations, the most primary one being Africa. But just real quick to jump into some history, this is more history, and this all ties in with the whole Christian Catholic Church, because these people are rising up now, and the Christian Catholic Church, it basically, well, because you have Catholics, you have Protestants, so you have different sects that broke off from each other, but all of it goes back to Roman Catholic Christianity. I put it like that, which was actually started by black men way back under Constantine, and incorporated pagan laws into biblical things, right, including Christmas and Easter. Those are two of the major things. And just to show how all of this ties in with Esau being the devil, right? Him part of this beast system, him deceiving the earth, and then eventually, of course, it's going to go into the mark of the beast. No man might buy or sell. But just rewinding, jumping back and taking a look and seeing how it all ties in, because this is a huge part of bringing that beast back to life. This is the Portuguese slave trade. It says 15th century Rome and its popes created racist, racial, subhuman classes of humans to be enslaved, acting as exarch of the Roman Empire. It says in the early 13th century, official support for slavery and the slave trade was incorporated into canon law by Pope Gregory IX. In 1452, Pope Nicholas V issued the papal bull Dum Diversas to King, which the papal bull is just a papal order. It's an order of the Pope. King Alfonso V of Portugal, which included the following words: "We grant to you full and free permission to invade, search out, capture, and subjugate the Saracens and pagans and any other unbelievers and enemies of Christ, to reduce their persons into perpetual slavery, to invade, search out, capture, vanquish, and subdue all Saracens and other enemies of Christ wherever placed, and the kingdoms, dukedoms, principalities, dominions, possessions, and all movable and movable goods whatsoever held and possessed by them, and to reduce their persons to perpetual slavery, and to apply and appropriate to himself and his successors the kingdoms, dukedoms, countries, principalities, dominions, possessions, and goods, and to convert them to his and their use and profit." So there you go. So the Christian church said, look, we're going to invade, search out, capture, vanquish, and subdue all Saracens and enemies of Christ. Hey, so basically, and these Edomites have always had it out for us. The Catholic Church, as you can see, they're putting out kill orders, which that's where they get that from in Star Wars, right? They say execute order 66, and then they start to kill the Jedi, and those stormtroopers, those are like the Roman soldiers, and the Jedi, those are like, as we know, Jedi, that goes back to Judah, and because you had that goes back to Judah, and that's basically us. I'm gonna put it like that. I'm not gonna go too far into, but this goes in the Israelites. Those people, those warriors, those are supposed to be us. And that's something that George Lucas, he was into a lot of the Bible. You have Anakin, means warrior. Basically, he was in the Bible. He was into some other things. He used a lot of the principles of the Bible, and a lot of our Jewish history that was whitewashed, of course, to make those characters. I'll keep it short like that. And of course they're in tune with the Force or whatever. We know the Force being our power, Yahweh Shem El Shai. But then I'm gonna read further. So basically, I'm gonna read this one more time, man. We grant you full and free permission to invade, search out, capture, and subjugate the Saracens and pagans and any other unbelievers and enemies of Christ, to reduce their persons into perpetual slavery, to invade, search out, capture, vanquish, and subdue all Saracens and other enemies of Christ. And then it tells you you can have all that stuff, all the land, anything of them you could take. In 1456, Pope Calixtus III confirmed these grants to the kings of Portugal, and they were renewed in 1481, and finally in 1514, Pope Leo repeated verbatim all these documents and approved, renewed, and confirmed them. The popes in Rome quoted above gave Spain and Portugal a legal rationalization for race-based slavery, since most African and First Nation Americans were non-Christian. So this is basically because we know 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, whatever. At this point, they were already in the New World. They had already got to the Dominican Republic. That was the first place they touched down. And this is a kill order which was renewed from pope to pope, giving them the order they could destroy all Africans. First Nation Americans is talking about Native American people, which basically that includes Mexican people as well. That includes so-called Latino people, right? Dominicans are sometimes considered Latino, but really they're Native American. So First Nation, that includes Native Americans and Latino. But since most Africans and First Nation Americans were non-Christian, and hence under the papal reasoning, subhuman, needing to be eradicated. And this is the history of the Catholics. This is the mindset that formed. You got to think about that. People want to give them credit for rationalizing the Bible, putting it in layman's terms, coming up with these different doctrines. The primary and center, because whenever you come up with a concept that you want people to follow, you have core principles of that concept, right? There are core principles of the Bible, certain scriptures that you have to know and understand. First off, you have to know what? That the Bible is written to the Israelites and no other people. You have to, things like that. The earth is given to the hand of the wicked. That's why Esau is empowered. We went into slavery because the Most High ordained us to go into slavery. And that's part of the curses that were on us. But one of their primary pillars of their foundation was that us, the African and First Nation people, could be eradicated because we were subhuman. And that's the mind. We know, of course, Yahweh Shah put it in their mind to do that, but they actually committed the actions. They actually played it out. And they're actually using the Bible to justify all of this. And that's why the Christian and the Catholic Church today in 2018, it's not worth shit. It doesn't mean shit. Okay, because it started with wicked men who are not held responsible for anything, murder, rapists, thieves, liars, scoundrels, all kind of just disgusting characters. And now that it has a lot of money behind it, just like a corporation. It started off, it might have started off on the streets or something. Then you got these guys that go into the corporate office, and then they figure out, well, look, we can't do this street shit forever. We got to what's the word I'm looking for? We're gonna have to go legit. And once they get legit, they're still trying to look for loopholes in the law, shit they can get away with. It's still not fully legit. And that's exactly what happened with these Edomites. That's exactly what they did. Even after they freed slaves, so-called made us free, they're still not legit. They're trying to pretend they are, but they're not. The popes in Rome quoted above gave Spain and Portugal legal rationalization, right, for race-based slavery, since most African First Nation Americans were non-Christian. Skipping down, the kings of Spain and Portugal were commanded to eradicate non-Christians in Africa and the Americas. The Spanish Inquisition in South and Central America kept detailed records of literally tens of millions of executions by fire of two-spirit First Nation populations for the crime of same-sex orientation, children, women, and men. Columbus enslaved the Caribs, the people of the Caribbean, and managed to starve most of them to death within half a century, of which he was proud. First Nation slaves had to be replaced early on by Africans. And that, of course, they're going to go on, but the point being, they'll try to say that, well, look, we made a mistake, sorry. The thing about this, though, with the Spain and Portugal, now this part of land, of course, this is known as Spain today and Portugal today, but in the ancient world, it was known as Iberia. It was known as Iberia, and you had a lot of structures that were set up. Matter of fact, here we go. You have a lot of Moorish structures that were set up, and Hebrew structures that were set up by the Hebrew people, not just the Moors. The Moors are just those are Israelites who embraced Islam, but you had buildings all through Spain and Portugal, point being, that were built by Israelites. As you can see, palaces and all this stuff. And these are called Moorish arches, if my memory serves me correct. But basically, man, this Iberia actually means the land of the Hebrew. Spain is known as the Iberian Peninsula. Why? The word Iberia is a corruption of the word Eber, right? Which means Hebrew's land. Of course, we know Eber is a descendant of Abraham. So Iberia, the place that they're actually named after, was named after us, the real Hebrews. You got builders in there that we built. Because once again, the common Edomites, they didn't know. They were just, pawns on the battlefield. But these Edomites, these top level Edomites and these popes and all these people, they knew exactly who we were. They knew. They knew why it was called Iberia. They knew all of that. And this is the language of Iberia, if you still doubt. What is that? It just looks just like Hebrew. It's so-called Paleo-Hebrew. Just like the Paleo-Hebrew. the Iberian language. So, and these Edomites, they knew exactly what they were doing. They knew that they were selling Hebrew slaves, that we were the Israelites, the true Israelites. They knew who we were when they waged war on us, when they issued us to go into slavery. So it's not a thing of a mistake where, oh, we didn't know who you were, or we didn't, that kind of thing. We were just expanding our empire. This is a thing that has been planned and plotted and schemed out. And now the Lord has given us the understanding to cast down these different strongholds as these devils have. Okay, so the Catholic Church, the Christian Church, all of that shit is founded on lies and bloodshed of Israelites. And I'm going to just make this one short, man. All praise to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua Bashem Makakadash. Just some quick history. Shalom.